The galaxy held many great events, but the Trials of Valor were known as the most famous. They were held once every cycle on the bright world of Rionis, where thousands of travelers came to watch powerful warriors from many species show their strength, skill, and courage. For some, the trials were a chance to earn honor. For others, they were a chance to win rewards that could change their future. To most people in the arena, one person did not seem important at all. His name was Evan Hale, a human technician from Earth. He wore simple work clothes, carried a small toolkit, and moved with quiet steps. He was not a warrior, and he did not wish to be one. He came only to help maintain the machines and platforms used in the trials. While the audience cheered for strong fighters and fast pilots, Evan checked wires, repaired broken panels, and kept the system safe. He liked to stay in the background. He liked work that let him think clearly. He liked to help without being the center of attention. Still, he enjoyed watching the trials from the shadows. Every species had a different way of showing strength. Some were fast, some were clever, some were heavy like walking mountains. It made him feel small, but it also filled him with respect. Among all the competitors, one name made the crowd fall silent every time she stepped into the arena: Sarika Nar. She was a tall alien woman from the Koran Dominion. Her skin had a pale silver tone, and her sharp eyes made anyone near her stand straighter. Her hair was long and braided with thin metal rings that made a faint echoing sound when she walked. She carried herself like someone who had won many battles. The other competitors respected her, even feared her. Sarika rarely spoke to anyone. She trained alone, focused, calm, and distant. People whispered that she had never lost a match in her life. Some said she had been born in a storm. Others said she could sense danger before it arrived. These stories made her seem almost unreal. Evan, who fixed the machines near the training field, often saw her from a distance. She never looked in his direction. To her, he thought he must be invisible, just a mechanic among many. The trials began with loud music and bright lights. The sky above the arena shimmered with floating screens that showed each event. Crowds from across the stars filled every seat. Evan worked at the side of the arena, making quick repairs when something malfunctioned. During one match, a platform fell out of place, and he rushed in before the next round started. His hands moved fast, guided by instinct. He tightened bolts, adjusted circuits, and fixed wiring that should have taken a team. He finished in seconds. No one clapped. No one even noticed, except one pair of silver eyes. High above, hidden behind the shade of a viewing balcony, Sarika watched him. Her expression did not change, but something silent passed through her mind. She saw how he stayed calm, how he worked with quiet confidence, and how he saved another competitor from stepping onto a dangerous loose panel. Evan never looked up. He simply moved back into the shadows. Hours passed. Warriors fought, climbed, jumped, and solved challenges. Sarika won every event she entered. She moved like she already knew what her opponents would do before they did it. She ended her last round without a single scratch. The crowd roared her name. At the end of the trials, the strongest champion stood on a raised platform. A glowing beam shone down from above, marking them as the chosen victors. The greatest honor given to the strongest warrior was the right of claim. It allowed the champion to choose one prize from a long list presented by the organizers. Most chose rare metals, advanced weapons, or starship upgrades. Some even claimed official titles or special training. No one expected something unusual. When Sarika stepped forward to choose her prize, the audience grew quiet. Even the announcer softened his voice. "Champion Sarika Nar," he called. "The Dominion honors your victory. You may choose your reward." A row of items appeared on floating panels. Powerful tools, rare crystals, ancient relics found on forgotten worlds. People whispered, trying to guess which she would choose. The blade from the Tana Forge? No, the Starcore crystal. She could power a whole ship with it. She will take the honor mark. Her people value titles. Sarika looked at none of them. She turned slowly and scanned the crowd. Her silver eyes settled on one person standing near the machines at the side. Evan froze. At first, he thought she must be looking past him, or at something behind him. He turned his head slightly. There was nothing else there. Only toolboxes, cables, and a few panels he had repaired. Sarika lifted her hand. She pointed directly at him. The entire arena fell silent. Evan felt a strange heaviness in his chest. He wondered if he had done something wrong. Maybe he had accidentally stepped into an important area. Maybe she wanted to complain about something he fixed. The announcer's voice cracked with confusion. Champion Sarika. You choose. The human technician? Sarika spoke for the first time that day. Her voice was calm, steady, and strong enough to carry through the arena without effort. Yes, I claim him. People gasped. Some covered their mouths. Others leaned forward in disbelief. Evan's face warmed. His heartbeat quickened. He could not understand what was happening. He wanted to hide, but everyone was staring at him now. Sarika walked down from the winner's platform. Each step echoed like the beat of a slow drum. When she reached Evan, she stopped in front of him. She was taller than him by almost a head. Her expression remained unreadable. Evan swallowed. I don't understand. Sarika studied him with steady eyes. You repaired the hazard platform during the trials. You acted without fear. You saved someone from danger. She paused. Your skill is rare. Evan blinked. I just did my job. That is why I choose you, she said. The officials hesitated. They had never seen a champion claim a person, especially a simple technician. They checked the rules, whispered among themselves, and finally nodded. The rules allowed the champion to choose any reward offered by the organization. Evan worked under the organization's contract, and that contract made him part of the eligible list. Evan signed no special agreement for this, but he understood he had little choice for the moment. Still, he felt no threat from Sarika. She did not treat him like an object. She treated him like someone who mattered. She turned slightly. Come, my starship waits. Evan hesitated only for a short moment. Something in her tone was not harsh. It was clear but not unkind. It felt more like an invitation than a demand. He followed her through the arena's exit corridor. Crowds whispered behind them. Some were curious. Some were confused. Some were simply shocked that a champion known for her cold, distant nature would choose a quiet human technician instead of a powerful treasure. When they stepped outside, a large silver ship waited on the landing pad. It glowed softly under the evening light. The crew at the bottom of the ramp stared at Evan with wide eyes. They knew something strange had happened. Sarika looked back at him once more. You are important, she said softly, almost as if she were explaining something he could not yet understand. Evan felt his breath catch. He did not know what future waited for him beyond that ramp, but he knew this moment would change his life. He stepped forward. The doors closed behind them, and the ship lifted into the sky. The starship Vathros rose smoothly into the sky, leaving the bright world of Rionis behind. Inside the ship, lights glowed softly along the hallways, and the air held a quiet hum from the engines. The crew members moved with careful steps, each one trained to respect their champion, Sarika Nar. None of them expected to see a human walking beside her. Evan Hale followed Sarika with slow, unsure steps. Every part of this was new to him. The ship felt larger than any he had ever seen. The walls had flowing designs carved into them, telling old stories of the Corran Dominion. The crew wore silver armor with clean lines and small lights that shimmered gently when they moved. Most of them stared at Evan as he passed. Some had wide, curious eyes. Some whispered softly to each other. Some kept their distance, confused by their champion's strange choice. Evan tried to walk calmly, but it was not easy. He felt like everyone was watching his every step. Sarika noticed his discomfort. She slowed her pace and spoke without turning her head. Do not fear them. They are only surprised. I don't blame them, Evan said with a half-nervous smile. I'm surprised too. Her lips moved slightly, almost like a faint smile, but it was gone before he could be sure. They reached a door that slid open with a gentle sound. Inside was a small but clean room with a bed, a desk, and a shelf. A window showed a view of the stars beginning to stretch into long trails as the ship prepared for its jump into deep space. This will be your room, Sarika said. Evan froze. This is a private cabin. Yes, but I thought I would be in a holding area or a storage section. Something much simpler. Sarika looked at him with calm eyes. You are not a prisoner. You are part of my mission now. Evan felt the words settle inside him like a quiet weight. Your mission? But why me? I don't understand why you chose me as your reward. Sarika stood still for a moment as if deciding how much to share. You showed calmness under pressure. Many warriors lose focus when danger appears. You did not. Such clarity is rare. That was just a quick repair, Evan said. I do that kind of thing all the time. That is exactly why I chose you. Before he could ask more, the lights on the wall blinked. A voice spoke through a small speaker. Champion Sarika, the ship is ready for departure. Sarika nodded at the voice. Then she looked back at Evan. Rest for now. When we are in open space, I will explain more. She turned and left the room. The door closed behind her. Evan sat on the bed and let out a long breath. His heart was still trying to catch up with everything that had happened. First the trials, then the unexpected claim, now a private cabin on a powerful alien warship. He touched the window panel, and the stars rushed forward as the ship entered its jump. The view looked like silver rivers flowing across a dark sea. What have I gotten myself into? He whispered with a tired smile. Hours passed. Evan explored the room, then washed up, then tried to rest. But sleep refused to come. His mind kept returning to Sarika's calm voice and her strange words. Why would someone like her choose someone like him? Before he could think further, the door chimed softly. The panel slid open and Sarika stood in the doorway. Walk with me, she said. He followed her into a long hallway. They moved past crew members who stepped aside respectfully for Sarika, but watched Evan with curious eyes. Evan felt uncomfortable again, but Sarika's presence kept him steady. She walked with purpose, each step quiet but strong. They reached a command room filled with displays showing star charts and strange symbols. A large screen at the center showed a map of the galaxy, with red lines marking regions that were off limits. Sarika approached the map and touched one glowing red zone. It shifted into a clearer image. Evan saw drifting shapes large like mountains but floating in deep space. Their surfaces were covered in lines and patterns that looked old, almost ancient. These structures, Sarika said, are called the silent machines. Evan stared. Machines? That big? Yes, they were built by an unknown species many ages ago. The Dominion has studied them for a long time. We know they are not weapons, but we do not know their true purpose. Evan stepped closer. Why go near them? They look dangerous. Many believe they are. Ships that entered this zone often did not return. Those who did return brought damaged systems and strange signals. She looked at him. That is why this place is forbidden to most. Evan felt his throat dry. Then why are we going there? Sarika finally shared the real answer. My people received a new signal from the machines. A pattern. A request. She paused, then continued. The pattern matches the same behavior I saw in you during the trials. Evan blinked. What behavior? The machines release a complex sequence when touched. Most engineers become nervous or confused. They cannot follow the pattern. You, however, faced a dangerous malfunction and stayed focused. You saw the mistake and fixed it calmly. Evan rubbed the back of his neck. I still don't see how that makes me special. Sarika looked straight at him. You have a rare way of thinking. You see what others miss. Evan lowered his eyes. I just like understanding how things work. That is exactly what the machines require. Her words hung in the air for a moment. Evan felt a cold excitement spread through him. He had fixed many things in his life, but nothing like ancient alien structures floating in forbidden space. What do you want me to do? He asked. Sarika folded her arms. Study them. Understand them. Help us activate them if possible. Evan stared at the giant shapes on the display. They felt mysterious, old, and somehow alive. Why did you not tell the crew? Evan asked. They know only the surface of the mission. They do not need to know your role yet. Some will doubt you. Some will fear what you can do, and you don't fear it. Her silver eyes softened. I trust what I saw. Evan felt his chest warm a little at her words. Sarika's trust was not given lightly. It felt more valuable than 100 treasures. A voice from the ship's intercom interrupted them. Champion Sarika, we are approaching the border of the Forbidden Zone. Sarika turned toward the room's main door. Come, you should see this yourself. They walked to the viewing deck where a large window showed the stretch of dark space ahead. There were no stars in one direction, only a strange, heavy darkness like a storm waiting to form. Evan stepped closer. It looks empty. It is not empty, Sarika said quietly. It is full of secrets. Slowly, faint lights appeared in the dark zone. Shapes emerged. Giant machines drifting without movement, their surfaces glowing with soft blue lines. They looked like ancient watchtowers left behind by a forgotten race. Evan felt his breath catch. They're beautiful. Beautiful and dangerous, Sarika said. And soon they will not stay silent. The crew moved around the viewing deck in nervous silence. Even the strongest among them seemed uneasy. Evan stood beside Sarika. He felt fear but also curiosity. Something inside him whispered that this was where he needed to be. Sarika watched him carefully. Are you ready? Evan nodded slowly. I'll try. That is all I ask. The ship drifted closer to the silent giants, and their soft blue glow reflected in Evan's eyes. Something deep within the machine suddenly pulsed, as if they sensed the arrival of someone they had been waiting for. The part ended with Evan stepping forward, ready to face the ancient mystery. The starship Vathros moved slowly into the forbidden zone. The engines lowered their sound until the ship seemed to glide through space like a quiet shadow. Every crew member felt the same cold tension as they approached the ancient structures. Evan Hale stood at the wide window of the observation deck. His eyes stayed fixed on the shapes in the distance. They were larger now, close enough to see the soft blue lines stretching across their surfaces. Each structure looked like a giant tower made of metal and stone, with designs too complex for any modern species to understand. The crew said nothing. Even the bravest among them seemed uncertain. Sarika Nar stood beside Evan with her arms folded. Her silver eyes watched the machines with steady concentration. She showed no fear, but her crew could sense her alertness. When the ship drifted close enough, Sarika finally spoke. We are entering their range now. Stay calm. They react to emotion. Evan's eyebrows lifted. React how? We do not know. That is why no one comes here. Evan nodded slowly. His heart pounded in his chest, but he tried to breathe steadily. The idea of emotion-sensitive machines made the air feel heavier. The ship's pilot, a tall Corin officer named Ralvos, called out from his station. Champion, the readings are unusual. I sense a soft energy pulse coming from the structure ahead. Do not adjust course, Sarika replied. Let the machines observe us. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Evan stepped closer to the window. The machine now filled almost half of his view. Its surface looked old, as if it had drifted for thousands of years. Yet its blue lines glowed softly like veins carrying light instead of blood. It looks alive, Evan whispered. It is not alive, Sarika said, but it is awake. The moment she said that, the nearest machine released a gentle wave of pale light. It moved slowly through space, passing through the ship like a soft breeze. No alarm sounded. No systems failed. The wave felt harmless, but its presence made everyone shiver. The crew whispered fearfully. What was that? Did it scan us? Will it attack? Sarika lifted her hand. Stay calm. Panicking helps no one. Her voice steadied the room. Evan touched the glass. The wave felt like distant sound in his mind, like a faint bell ringing underwater. It didn't hurt. It didn't frighten him. It felt more like a question. Sarika, he said slowly. I think it knows we're here. Sarika nodded. It does. He turned to her. Why do I feel like it's waiting for something? Before Sarika could answer, another blue pulse spread from the machines, this one brighter, clearer, directed. A small console near the window activated by itself. Symbols appeared. Strange shapes like spirals and lines connected by soft curves. The crew gasped. It is sending a pattern. Ralvos shouted. Sarika stepped forward. Evan, come here. Evan moved to the console. The symbols flowed across the screen like a language built from light. Do you understand it? Sarika asked. Evan shook his head. No, but it feels familiar. Ralvos looked confused. How can it feel familiar? No one has ever understood these symbols. Evan could not explain it. The shapes reminded him of wires he once repaired, strange circuits he had studied, and broken machines he had brought back to life. His mind followed the patterns naturally, like following steps of a dance he did not remember learning. Sarika watched him closely. Tell me what you see. Evan pointed at a cluster of symbols. This part looks like a warning. This part like a request. And here, he touched another line. This feels like a question. Sarika nodded slowly. A question for you? I don't know, Evan said honestly. Maybe for humans, not just me. The console lights brightened. A new set of symbols appeared, forming a circle pattern. Evan felt a sudden clarity. It wants to know if we can help, he said. The crew stared at him in disbelief. Ralvos stepped closer. Help with what? What do these machines need from us? Evan studied the new symbols. His fingers hovered above the console, not touching it, only following the lines with his eyes. They want to wake the others, he said. Sarika's jaw tightened. Wake them? How many are there? Evan looked out the window. Beyond the nearest machine, he saw silhouettes deeper in the darkness, dozens, maybe hundreds, floating quiet and still. This is only the front line, he said softly. A soft alarm tone rang through the ship. Ralvos checked his panel. Champion! The energy levels in the machines are rising. Something is activating. Sarika watched Evan. Explain. Evan read the symbols again. They think a danger is coming. Something old. Something they were built to stop. The crew stepped back in fear. Ralvos touched a switch but did not press it. Should we retreat? No, Sarika said firmly. She looked at Evan again. Can you communicate back? I don't know, he admitted. But I can try, Sarika nodded. Then try, Evan took a slow breath. He studied the symbols and chose ones that matched the machine's earlier request. He tapped them carefully, forming a simple message. We are here. We will try. The console glowed bright blue. Outside the window, the nearest machine lit up. Its lines pulsed in rhythm, sending waves of light to the others. The far machines answered with soft flashes, as if they were talking to each other after a long sleep. The crew watched with wide eyes. Sarika stood tall. They are awakening. Evan felt a chill, but not fear. It felt more like awe. Then a deep pulse came from the largest structure. This one was slow, heavy, and filled the ship like a distant drumbeat. Evan stepped back as the console displayed a new pattern, one clearer than the rest. What does it say? Sarika asked. Evan stared at the symbols. Each one seemed to sink into his thoughts. Finally, he found his voice. It wants to talk to humans, he said. Only humans, Ralvos blinked. Why not us? Evan shook his head. I think humans think differently. The machines recognize that. The crew exchanged confused glances. Sarika looked calm, as if she had expected this. Then they chose correctly. She turned to Evan. We continue forward. Before Evan could respond, the machine sent out another pulse, this time toward a far region of space. The scanners picked up a faint signal there. Something dark. Something moving. Evan felt dread. Sarika, what is that? She watched the scanner with a cold expression. The old threat. The room fell silent. The machines glowed brighter, forming a network of light across the forbidden zone. Sarika placed her hand on Evan's shoulder. We must understand the machines before the threat reaches this region. Evan nodded, feeling the weight of a task he did not fully understand. His fear mixed with curiosity, forming a strange determination. He looked out at the silent giants. Their blue light reflected in his eyes like distant stars. The machines were not sleeping anymore, they were waiting, and they had chosen him. The sound of distant engines echoed through the vast hollow corridors of the alien stronghold. Light reflected off the crystalline walls in soft pulsing waves, painting everything in shifting colors. Human eyes were unprepared for such beauty and alien intricacy, yet he had long since learned to navigate the place. Every shadow, every flicker of light seemed to be alive, and every step carried a subtle hum of energy beneath the floor. He had been here many days now, but the alien woman who had claimed him had not left him to wander alone. She appeared and disappeared like a ghost, sometimes studying him with an intensity that made him shiver. He could not understand why she had singled him out. Other humans had been present in this sector before, and many had faced the alien species with weapons or pride. But she had chosen him. He remembered their first encounter vividly. The alien woman had descended from a hovering platform with movement that seemed impossible. Her skin shimmered faintly, almost as if it absorbed light rather than reflected it. Her eyes were vast, intelligent, and unreadable. When she spoke, it was not with words alone, but with subtle gestures that seemed to resonate directly in his mind. Yet despite the alienness of her, there was a strange warmth in the way she regarded him. The humans in the coalition fleet had tried to intervene, but the alien woman's authority was absolute. None dared approach her chambers while he remained in her custody. Many whispered among themselves that she was testing him, though what sort of test it could be, no one could guess. As he walked through the corridors, he tried to piece together why she had chosen him. He had always believed that humans were fragile in the galaxy, at least compared to these beings. Their technology was far beyond what he had seen anywhere else, and yet, here he was, in a place no human was meant to survive, and somehow, he was not only surviving but, strangely, thriving. The alien woman appeared at the intersection of two vast hallways. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she studied him silently, letting him feel the weight of her gaze. He noticed that the air around her shimmered subtly, a visible distortion like heat waves rising from the floor. His mind wanted to panic, but his body remained calm. There was a strange power in her presence that demanded respect rather than fear. "You move well," she said finally. Her voice was musical, layered with tones that his ears struggled to comprehend. "Better than most of your kind." He nodded, unsure if she expected words in return. "I try my best," he said carefully, his voice echoing lightly in the crystalline chamber. She tilted her head, considering him. "Your strength is not only in your body but in your mind," she observed. "That is why I chose you." He froze, surprise breaking through the calm he had maintained. Chosen by her? Out of all the humans, he was the one she had singled out? And for what reason? A shiver ran down his spine. "Why me?" he asked cautiously. The alien woman's lips curved slightly, almost imperceptibly. "Because you are human," she said. "And humans. You are unpredictable. You do not rely only on strength or logic or tradition. You adapt. You survive when others fail. You create when others destroy." He swallowed. He had always known that humans were different in some ways, but no one had ever said it aloud in a place like this, among beings who measured life by centuries, not years. I do what I can," he said. She moved closer, and he noticed her presence seemed to fill the corridor. "You have something others do not," she said softly. "A kind of spark." Her eyes locked with his, and he felt the weight of that statement in his chest. It was as if she could see into the very essence of him. For a moment, he wondered if she was capable of seeing the truth of a human soul, something that no technology, no weapon, no intelligence in the galaxy could detect. And if she could, did that mean he had no secrets left? He began, but words failed him. "Do not fear," she said. "I am not your enemy." "I have claimed you as my prize, yes, but not in the way you think. You are not a possession, you are a challenge, an opportunity." He frowned, trying to make sense of her words. "A challenge?" "Yes," she replied. "You are not like the others. You will not bow easily. You will not fear. You will think, you will act, you will shape the outcome. That is what intrigues me." He hesitated, trying to weigh her words. The aliens around them had always been indifferent to humans, treating them as curiosities at best or pests at worst. Yet here she was, singling him out, observing him, judging him, and he could not deny it, expecting something from him that no other human had been expected to deliver. Then, "What do you want from me?" he asked, keeping his voice steady. She studied him in silence for a moment, as if weighing the right answer. Then she spoke, almost in a whisper. "I want to see what you can do. To see how you survive, how you think, how you shape the impossible into the possible. You are my experiment, if you will." The word made him stiffen. Experiment. Humans had a history with that word. Painful, dangerous, often deadly. But something in her tone, in the way her eyes lingered on him, reassured him that her meaning was different. This was not cruelty, not punishment. This was selection, recognition. "You're saying I have to prove myself?" he asked. "Not only prove," she said. "You will reveal yourself. You will show what it means to be human in a world that does not understand humanity. You will teach even me." The corridor fell silent. He had never been chosen for anything before, certainly not in a place so far beyond human reach. And yet he realized there was a strange honor in her claim. He was no longer invisible, no longer dismissed. Out of all the humans, she had seen him. "Then I will do my best," he said. She inclined her head once. "That is all I ask. For now." The next days were a test of endurance, strategy, and intellect. She placed him in situations that seemed impossible, tasks that required not only strength but patience, understanding, and creativity. One moment he was navigating a labyrinthine set of corridors filled with traps designed to ensnare even the most advanced aliens. Another, he was solving complex puzzles that required comprehension of alien logic systems he had never encountered. Yet with each challenge he noticed something remarkable. He began to anticipate her presence, to understand the subtle cues she left in the environment. He realized that she was teaching him, not merely testing him. Each trap and puzzle revealed more about the alien's way of thinking, and each solution revealed more about what it meant to be human: creativity, resilience, and the unyielding desire to survive. And through it all, she watched, not with malice, not with boredom, but with a fascination that made him feel both exposed and alive. It was as if she had found in him a mirror, and every move he made reflected something she had never seen before. The humans in the fleet sent messages trying to reach him, but she intercepted them all. Not to harm him, but to protect him from interference. She knew that part of the challenge was isolation, the clarity of thought that came when one faced trials alone, and he began to understand that her claim was not possession, it was recognition. She had claimed him because she had seen something rare, the potential of humanity unbound. One night he found himself resting on a platform overlooking the city below. Lights shimmered like liquid stars and the air hummed with quiet energy. She appeared beside him without a sound, and for the first time he did not flinch. "You have learned much," she said, "and yet the greatest lessons are still ahead." He turned to look at her, feeling a strange combination of awe and familiarity. "What is next?" She smiled faintly, a curve of her lips that seemed to hold centuries of thought. "You will see. For now, know this. You are no longer simply a human among aliens. You are a symbol, a spark that can ignite change where none is expected, and that is why I claimed you." The words settled over him, heavy and light at the same time. He understood now. He was a prize not for possession, but for potential. Not for weakness, but for strength. Not for fear, but for hope. And for the first time, he felt truly seen. Above them, the city pulsed with quiet life. Below them, corridors stretched into darkness and light. And between, a human and an alien woman stood together, bound not by ownership but by recognition, challenge, and the promise of what was yet to come. For in the galaxy, where humans were often underestimated, he had become more than a survivor. He had become the human that even aliens could not ignore, and she, mysterious, powerful, and inscrutable, had chosen him to prove it. The alien city glowed under a soft silver sky. Towers rose like long, shining blades, and bridges stretched between them like woven threads of light. Evan Hale stood on a high platform, watching the scenery below him. He had been in this place for many cycles now, and every day felt like a new test, a new discovery, a new step into a world that he had never imagined possible. Yet today felt different. The air was still. The lights seemed dimmer. The hum beneath the floor felt heavier. Something was coming. Evan sensed it before the alarms began. He felt a strange tension inside him. The same kind of pressure he had felt when he first encountered the silent machines in deep space. It was as if the very walls were holding their breath. Then the alarms broke the silence. A rising tone echoed through the city, bouncing off the tall towers and spreading through every hall and corridor. Lights flashed along the walls, turning from silver to red. The energy hum deepened into a low, steady vibration. Evan stepped back instinctively, trying to understand what was happening. Footsteps echoed behind him. He turned and saw Sarika Nar, the alien woman who had claimed him as her prize, moving toward him with urgent steps. Her expression was calm, but he could read the tension behind her eyes. Even she, who seemed unshaken by anything, was not untouched by this sudden change. "Evan," she said, coming close. "The time has come," he swallowed. "For what?" "For the truth," she answered. "And for the choice I knew you would have to make." Evan frowned, confused. "I don't understand." Sarika motioned for him to follow, and together they raced through the long corridor that overlooked the city. The walls glowed brighter as they moved, reacting to Sarika's presence. Without slowing, she entered a lift tube, and Evan stepped in beside her. The lift dropped at high speed, moving through layers of the city that Evan had never seen before. The lights outside the transparent tube blurred into streaks. "What is going on?" Evan asked. Sarika finally answered. "The threat that the silent machines warned us about. It has arrived." Evan's chest tightened. "You mean the dark signal we saw? The thing they sensed?" "Yes," Sarika said quietly. "It is here." The lift slowed and opened into a massive control chamber filled with alien officers. The room was round with a central platform, where a large holographic map floated in midair. On the map, many points of light glowed, but one shape, a large dark mass, slowly approached the city. Evan stared. That's it? Yes, Sarika said. The shadow from deep space. The alien officers turned as Sarika walked in. Their postures straightened immediately, and their eyes showed both respect and fear. One officer bowed deeply. Champion Sarika, the readings match the ancient warnings. The energy signature. It is the same as the ones destroyed in the last age. Evan looked at her in shock. Destroyed by what? Sarika answered with a quiet voice. By this. The chamber fell silent. Evan felt something cold settle in his stomach. He turned back to the map and forced himself to stay calm. What does it want? Why is it coming here? The officers looked at each other unsure. Sarika spoke instead. It does not want anything. It only consumes. It moves like a storm without reason. That is why the silent machines were built. To stop it. But they cannot activate their final shield without a mind that can think outside their pattern. Evan knew what she meant. You're talking about humans, he whispered. Sarika nodded. Yes, humans can see what others cannot. Humans can adapt quickly. The ancient builders saw that same trait. The machines chose you, Evan. He felt his breath grow uneven. What do I need to do? Sarika motioned to the central platform. Come. Evan walked with her toward it. The holographic map shifted and the silent machines appeared around the dark mass. They glowed softly, forming a circle, a defensive line that was only half active. They need you to complete the pattern, Sarika explained. To finish what they began long before any of our species existed. Evan stared at the glowing lines. But I'm not a leader, Sarika. I'm not a warrior. I'm not even a scientist. None of that matters, she said softly. What matters is that you can understand them. You can see the meaning in their patterns. You can think like no one else here. Evan looked down at his hands. They trembled slightly. She placed her hand gently on his shoulder. Trust yourself. You have earned your place here. Her voice grounded him. It reminded him of everything he had survived until now. The tests, the puzzles, the alien challenges, the silent machines themselves. He took a deep breath. I'll do it. Sarika nodded once. Then we stand with you. Evan stepped onto the center platform. Lights rose around him, forming rings of symbols and lines. The patterns were complex, but they danced in a way that made sense to him. He closed his eyes for a moment and let his mind follow the shapes. The silent machines reacted instantly. Their soft blue glow deepened into white. Waves of energy passed between them, forming a faint protective field. Evan focused deeper. He remembered how the machines communicated earlier, through pulses, shapes, feelings. He matched their rhythm with steady breaths. He selected symbols that told them to connect, to strengthen, to hold the line. Lines of light streamed across the holographic display. Alien officers gasped. Sarika watched silently, her eyes fixed on Evan. The machines answered with a burst of brightness. The entire city shook. A wave of silver light expanded outward from the machines, forming a shield wall that stretched across the border zone. The dark mass outside slowed as the shield met it. A deep hum filled the chamber. It's working, Evan said, his voice shaky but hopeful. But the shadow was strong. It pushed against the shield with a heavy force. The machines trembled. One tower flickered, another dimmed. Evan felt panic rise in him, but Sarika stepped closer to the platform. She did not touch him, but her voice reached him clearly. You are not alone, she said. We stand with you. Focus. You can do this. Her confidence steadied him like a warm hand on his mind. Evan focused again, searching for the missing connection. A memory came to him suddenly. The moment he fixed the broken platform at the Trials of Valor. He had seen a loose wire that others ignored. He had trusted his instinct. Now he did the same. He found the faint pattern between two machines that looked unimportant. A small gap, an invisible link. He touched the corresponding symbols. Light exploded through the hologram. The machines responded immediately. Their glow brightened. Their lines connected. The shield strengthened. The dark mass stopped moving. Then slowly it began to retreat. The chamber filled with relieved gasps and quiet shouts of victory. Evan lowered his hands, breathing hard. The platform dimmed. The hologram faded. He nearly stumbled, but Sarika caught him, her arm steady around his shoulders. You did it, she said, her voice filled with rare warmth. Evan tried to smile, though exhaustion washed over him. We did it, she held his gaze. You were the key. You always were. The officers bowed to him, their respect deep and sincere. They no longer saw him as a simple human. They no longer questioned why Sarika had chosen him. They understood now. He had saved them. He had awakened the silent machines. He had stood against an ancient danger and won, not with strength, not with power, but with the unique human ability to see patterns where none existed. Sarika led him to the balcony outside the chamber. The sky had brightened and the city glowed with soft relief. The shield shimmered far away like a second horizon. "You have changed everything," Sarika said quietly. Evan smiled tiredly. "So have you. You believed in me when no one else did." She looked at him with steady eyes. "I claimed you because I sensed something rare. Now I know I was right." They stood together in silence, watching the lights of the city. Evan finally understood something important. He had not been chosen as a prize, he had been chosen as a partner. The galaxy would never forget the day a human and an alien woman saved an entire world side by side.